Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast with Michelle Chalfant, a place to delve into who we are, how we got that way, and explore what it takes to be a healthy grown-up. With an extensive toolbox and guests with varied expertise, Michelle will lead us on a journey to learn what it's like to live authentically and to love ourselves just the way we are. And now, here's Michelle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. I'm delighted, as always, to be here with you today and every week we are on podcast number 196. And today we are talking about covert narcissism. Yes. So many of us are we understand what the word narcissism is. We understand what that looks like. But it's interesting. I've come across so many people in the last few weeks that I've been talking to, and they have no idea that they are in a relationship with a covert narcissist. So I'm going to go over what that is. It's not overt. That's the narcissist that most of us know about. Covert is a little bit different, and I'm going to explain what the difference is. I'm going to explain what it looks like to be a covert narcissist, and then what you can do about it if you are in a relationship with someone like that. So, yes, today is going to be a very, very important day because this topic, it comes up all the time. So I hope you all are enjoying your February, the month of love, the month of relationships. And you know what? Don't forget the most important relationship, which is the relationship with yourself, that you're taking good care of yourself, loving yourself. That's what this Adult Chair Podcast is all about. Self-care, living authentically, self-love, of course. I am joining you this week and next week, actually, from the beautiful beaches of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm in the Isle of Palms, writing. Are you guys ready? Writing the Adult Chair book. We already have one book that's out. The Adult Chair book is already out. It's on Amazon if you'd like to get that book. But about 6 years ago or 7 years ago, I think is when I first started writing the Adult Chair book. After so many people kept saying, "Where's the book? Where's the book? Is there a book?" I'm like, "I'll write the book." So I started writing it, and my adolescent got impatient. This is a true story. I was writing this really big book, and then all of a sudden I was like, got impatient. And I said, I need this to come out as soon as possible. And I took the bigger book and I condensed it into a smaller book, a shorter version of the Adult Chair. And that's the book that's out today. But it has been gnawing at me. I think it's more my soul going, "Come on, Michelle. We need the bigger book." So this is what I'm doing for 2 weeks. I have taken myself out of my home environment where there are a million distractions, no dogs here, and I am sitting here on the beach writing, and getting it done. I'm focusing and getting this thing done. So I hope to have a bigger book out for you by Christmas time, by the end of this year. Okay. Oh my goodness. I don't even have words. You guys know I get excited. This is probably the biggest announcement I have ever made on this podcast. It truly is. I'm very guided by anything that I produce as far as my business goes. I feel guided in my whole life, honestly. Like if I feel it on the inside and I feel moved to do it, you guys hear me say that. If I feel moved, then I do it. And I have been feeling moved for about 2 years. Because so many of you from around the world hit me up on social media and email and every way you can hit me up and ask me this question. I get asked this question constantly. Is there an adult coach or therapist in Sydney, Australia, in London, in Germany, in San Francisco, in New York City, in you name it? And I have felt the internal call to create the Adult Chair Coaching Certification. And I'm making the announcement today and letting you all know it has arrived. I'm really honored, I have to say, because I remember when I did the very, very, very first Adult Chair workshop here in Nashville, probably, I don't even remember when that was, maybe 4 years ago. I can't remember. And a lovely, lovely woman, an adorable woman that came up to me from New York City. I can still see this happening. And you know who you are if you're listening to me right now. Came up to me on break and she grabbed me by the shoulders and she said, I want you to know something. And she was very serious. She's in PR. She said, I want you to hear me. She said, this adult chair is going to become a movement, a worldwide movement. And I said, okay. Mind you, this is the first workshop I've done. 4 years ago, the podcast had just come out, so it was kind of new. And I said, oh, okay. And she says, I feel it. And I said, I'm honored to hear you say that, and I kind of feel it too. I said, but we'll see what happens. Well, it's happening. It feels like a tsunami happening around the world, but it's so fun to be a part of. I absolutely love what I do, and I'm honored to sit with you every week doing this podcast and offer the membership and the events and everything else that we do here. But this is something new that we're offering. So just to give you the quick details on this, it's going to be a 6-month coaching certification. It starts in June. We're doing a kickoff 1-week intensive here in Nashville, June 7th through 13th. The rest of the program will be online or remote. You do not have to come here again, but the first week you do have to come here. The registration for the coaching certification is only going to be February 1st through March 15th. It's the only time it's going to be open. So if you are interested, get your application in. It's just for a limited time. And what else do I want to tell you? I'm just really excited to have these group of coaches be able to join our team and really represent the adult chair all around the world. Again, I need help, you guys. And so anyone that comes through this training will be helping, because we need more adult chair coaches in this world, and people need us out there, and I can't do all of it. So that's why I am so excited to have adult chair coaches worldwide after this training. I already know one of my New Zealand people will be here for sure. So I'm excited, because we are reaching far and wide around the world with these coaches. Okay, so that's at theadultchair.com/certification. Again, the dates that we kick off this whole event are June 7th through 13th. Everything is online. So there you have it. Okay, moving on. So here we go with covert narcissism. I want to go over, and by the way, I've done a number of shows on narcissism, whether it be interviews or I've done them myself. So if you want more shows on narcissism, just go to the podcast the podcast page, which is theadultchair.com/podcast. And I have a search bar. You just put in the word narcissism and they all pop up. So you'll be able to get more details on narcissism on that page and through the other shows. So this is just covert narcissism. The difference, like I said before, is overt narcissism is more obvious. Covert is more subtle. It's more hidden. You don't quite know what's going on in your relationship, but you know one thing, it doesn't feel good. So let me review with you. And again, I am breaking this way down, okay? I'm breaking it way down so you can understand. First of all, people ask me this, how does this happen? So I'm going to break this way down for you. Remember, the adult chair is all about simple psychology, grounded spirituality. Here's it done very simply, what narcissism is, where it comes from. So narcissism it happens when we are raised in a household where either, let's say the child is either boosted way up. So if they're growing up in a household where the parent or parents, plural, it could be one or both, constantly is praising that kid and saying that kid is better than other kids, or their family is superior to other families, or they're the best at fill in the blank. So this kid is raised in this environment with a false sense of self. They don't really know who they are, but they know they have to be the best. They know they have to stand out in some way. On the flip side, narcissism can also form when there is emotional neglect. So that kid grows up in a household where there is not a lot of connection emotionally, or when the kid is having emotion, the parent just shuts it down, or there's neglect in the house, or the kid is just sort of left alone or abandoned and the parents don't pay them much attention. So again, I want you to think of like these two sort of extremes And both of them lead to children that become adults that have a false sense of self. So that kid then feels like, because of the narcissism, that they have to get this validation outside of themselves in order to feel good and validated for who they are. So there's an internal drive for this. And oftentimes what happens with narcissism, of course, is that they will put other people down in order to feel better about themselves. And it could be, again, you might be in a relationship with a partner, a boss, a work peer, a teacher, a parent, a sibling, friend, whomever. It doesn't matter. Narcissism is far and wide. And let me just talk to you a little bit about subtle or covert narcissism. When you think about overt narcissists, you guys know who that is. Typically, they're more obvious. So you might walk into a party and someone, you'll notice, is just very loud, a little bit obnoxious, wanting the attention all on them. That's typically what people think of when they think of a narcissist. Like, they're bragging, they suck all the air out of the room, all of that. That's more of like the extroverted kind of a narcissist, but there's also like the introverted kind of a narcissist. In other words, they're more quiet. They do little things behind closed doors. So the subtle, that's why I think of this kind of narcissist as it's very subtle, and they're both very tricky if you're in a relationship with them. They like, of course, to have the spotlight. They want that attention. They want it to be focused on them. Okay? But with a covert narcissist, here's what's interesting. They're not the life of the party. They're not going to be lauded and obnoxious. But they want the world to be according to them. It's like their map of the world. The way they see the world is the only way. And if you don't agree with the way that they see the world, there's blaming and shaming that happens. That is a key element I find with covert narcissists, plural. Something that we find with covert narcissists is I'm going to list for you some common themes in relationships with these people. And again, I want you to understand, there's narcissistic personality disorder, which is extreme. Some of these are just narcissistic traits. So it doesn't mean someone's off the chart. Okay? Narcissistic. That's narcissistic personality disorder. So the common theme with both overt and covert narcissists is they don't want their image to be destroyed. And if you, as their spouse or a partner, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whomever, says something or does something and they feel like their image is hurt in some way, or you're doubting them in some way, or you're doubting their intelligence or their facade or their mask, whatever it is, there again, like I said before, is this blame and shame that happens. You might notice that with covert narcissists, they are nice to everyone else. Okay? And behind closed doors, it's like a totally different experience. Or on occasion, you'll have the blame and shame. It might not happen every day, but on occasion, it comes out of left field. And you're like, what just happened here? So you might notice that your husband is the kids' basketball coach or the football coach, the greatest guy on the planet. Everybody loves your husband. Or likewise, the greatest mom. They go above and beyond. They're the room volunteer. They do all the cupcakes for school. They do all of these things. Again, it's driven more by image than by something they really, really want to do. It's like, I might enjoy coaching my son's football team, but I really get a lot of kudos at the end of the year, and that feels really good. It makes me look like I'm such a great dad. So that's my motivation. I want to look like I'm a great dad, and I love the game of football, but I really want to look like I'm the best dad out there. So, and they may not even know that. Here's the thing that's interesting is they don't know it. It's an unconscious thing that's happening. The thing is, it's unhealthy. I find that people will say to me, like, I feel like I'm going crazy because when my husband and I leave the house, he's like the greatest guy. I have people that come up to me all the time and say to me, what a great husband I have. But man, when we go home, there's so much shaming and blaming. It's awful. It feels so bad. And if I said that to anyone else, they would think I was nuts because that's not the person that they see. I hear this a lot with covert narcissism. So on the outside world, they're like the greatest people. But on the inside, behind closed doors, it's a totally different scene. Just like with overt narcissists, you might find that they actually might apologize, but you wonder if they meant it. So oftentimes you'll hear something like, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. It won't happen again. But guess what? It's like empty words and then it happens again. The shaming, the blaming again, or the pointing their finger at you and saying that you're the root of all of our marital problems, or you're the reason no one likes us, or, there's a lot of that going on. Or of course, the lovely backhanded apologies, like, I'm so sorry that you feel that way. That's not an apology. An apology is like, gosh, I'm so sorry. This was on me. And a narcissist will not take responsibility. That's key. It's not going to be their fault. Covert narcissists, again, when you're shattering or coming close to the mask that they're wearing, they will berate and make you feel small or stupid, again, or blame. So that's not healthy. Someone that's berating you or shaming you, that's not healthy. I don't care if they're a narcissist or not, it's not healthy. So please don't second guess yourself. And people will say well, how do I know? I get so confused. You shouldn't be confused in a healthy relationship. And if you are confused, ask your partner, hey, this is confusing me. Can you help me with this? I'm confused. And if you feel more confused after you're talking to them, that's not okay. You need to find someone to clear it up for you and to help you with your reality. Someone that really loves you and cares about you wants to help you with your reality, wants to help you be clear. They don't talk to you in a shaming and berating kind of way. That's not love. You got to ask yourself, how does this make me feel when they talk to me like this? If it feels bad, it's not love. Sometimes we get so used to the berating and shaming, we begin to do it to ourselves when they're not even around. So if we're used to it, it's like our subconscious mind takes over their criticism. It's like we get programmed with their criticism. This is why it is imperative to not take it in, and you have to get yourself strong. We're going to talk about that at the end. It's like as if we've internalized their abuse and made it our own, and we believed it so much. That's why I say don't let it land. If you're confused, walk away and get clarity from someone else. Another sign of covert narcissism, they have huge control issues. They felt very out of control in childhood, so as adults, they're going to try to control everything, including you. If you have someone that's controlling what you're doing, where you are, what you're saying in public, what you should or should not say to friends, if you're at a dinner party, that's not okay. That's not healthy and normal. If you're an adult, you should be able to say what you want to say. Now, if you're being completely inappropriate and your partner and other people are saying, wow, that was kind of inappropriate, that's a different story. But if you have one person being your spouse that is controlling you and letting you know that you're being inappropriate, I would always ask someone else that you're close to if that's true. Hey, did you notice me at that dinner party? Was I being inappropriate? And if your friends say, no, not at all, what are you talking about? That's your partner controlling you. Another way that we know if we're in a relationship with a covert narcissist, ask or check in with your nervous system. Do you feel anxious when your partner comes home? Do you feel anxious when you're out with him with friends because he might berate you either in front of your friends or in the car ride home? Or he might make fun of you? It hurts when that happens out in public. And then when you speak up to him and say, hey, that really hurt. If you hear something back like, you're just too sensitive, or what's wrong with you? I was just joking. Like, if it feels bad, trust your intuition, trust your gut. Please trust your gut. You have to trust your gut. If you have an activated nervous system and you feel anxious and you feel like you're in guard when your beloved is around you, it's a sign. Could be covert narcissism. Another thing that I've found, if you're walking around and you've got adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, candida, or something else showing up physically, it could be that you're so taxed and worn out from your partner, from your person that you're living with, from your parent, whomever is acting like this with you, that it's the secondary effect, of course, is on the physical body. So check in, like, why do you have adrenal fatigue? Is it something from your childhood? Is it something that's going on right now? Look at the clues in your life. Here's another one. And I said this before, it's like the world is according to your person or this narcissist that you are in a relationship with. It's like his way or no way. They have the only map of the world, and you had better follow that map of the world. It's that control stuff again. And if you don't, you are destroyed. I remember I was working with a client a while ago, actually, and she had just gotten married, and her husband's parents had come in from out of town, and they went out for the day. She stayed home and prepared a lovely meal. They all got home, or the parents and her husband got home. They walked in the door and she had set this lovely table. She's trying to impress her in-laws. She didn't know them all that well because they'd just gotten married. She has everyone go and sit down at the table. And then here comes the meal. She starts bringing everything out. And she brings out this lovely beef stew. And her husband goes, "What is that?" And she goes, "Oh, it's beef stew." And his mother, kind of rolls her eyes and turns away. And he goes, "My mother does not eat beef." And my client, we're going to call her Sue, goes, "What? Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I had no idea." And her husband says, "Why didn't you think to ask?" Very condescending in front of his parents. And Sue says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Let me make something else for you." And she jumps up from the table. Her mother-in-law is then also upset and says, "Well, I'm starving and I didn't know that you were making this." And, it was clearly just it was a mistake. It was, no one did it intentionally, but her husband's comments toward Sue, were belittling and berating, like, "Why didn't you know better? I've told you that in the past." And again, my client was like, "I don't remember him ever telling me that. I don't know his parents all that well. They don't even live here. The parents lived in California, and my client actually lived in Florida." I'm like, "Well, you're not even around them. How in the world would you ever know that the mother-in-law doesn't like beef? I mean, you're only with them like on different holidays and you just got married." So she had no idea. She called me. This was a phone session I had a long time ago. And she said, "Can you just tell me, Michelle, how could I have done that better?" And I'm like, "What?" "From what you're telling me, you did it, that you apologized, you offered to make her something else." The mother-in-law got all passive aggressive with her and put her nose up and said, "Well, clearly you're not taking me into consideration." And the son got pissed off. It was so clear. I'm like, this is narcissism. She went on and on and on, of course, with many, many more examples. And I said, "Oh my God." I said, No. Your husband's being really inappropriate. This was clearly just a mistake, an innocent mistake. And the parents left, and then the husband kept coming down on her. Then he stonewalled her and just didn't talk to her for days on end. Completely inappropriate. He said, "You're an embarrassment to my family and to me, and I can't believe it." And I mean, it was so, and that's when we know, wait a minute, this feels like it's so out of left field. I'm so confused. And when you're that confused and you feel like you've done nothing wrong, please, my friends, trust yourself. Please trust yourself. I was so happy that she was on the phone with me. And I said, I was happy to help her with clarity. And she had a lot more examples, by the way, of all these little things that were going on and the control and the shaming and all of this. So we did a lot of good work. Another thing that we have to look for, of course, is gaslighting, which is exactly what her husband was doing to her. And a lot of people have come to me and I've heard from them over the last few months. They're like, well, what's gaslighting? I'm like, wow, let me explain this to you. Gaslighting, it's based on a movie, is when you have a reality and then someone else, so in this case, Sue's husband, was twisting her reality, trying to make her feel like she was the crazy one. Like she was completely out of line for not asking if anyone, didn't like beef, let's say. Like there's something wrong with her for not asking. So it's a complete total reality twist. Oftentimes with gaslighting too, if Sue's husband had said to her, I told you 5 times that my mother did not like beef. And Sue was like, gosh, I don't remember that. Like that again, it's like this reality distortion. It's just not real. That's gaslighting. Another thing that people do is this projection. In other words, I put my issues on you, okay? Because I lack self-awareness, and instead I see my issues or I don't know what my issues are, and I put them all over you. And if we're not strong enough in who we are, then we take on the belief that there is something wrong with us. Let me give you an example. I had a woman that had come in and she was sharing stories with me about her mom. Her mom, very much to me, sounded like a covert narcissist. She wanted to come over and visit her daughter when she wanted to come over, and she wanted to see her grandchildren, and she didn't care if my client, Tracy, was available or not, or if it was a good time or not. It just didn't matter to her mother. So Tracy and I worked, and I said, you just got to say to your mom, you got to set a boundary and say to your mom, you know what, Mom, would you just be able to come over on this day instead? Or could you call before? And we had a few different things that we were talking about. And her mother said that Tracy was being rude and condescending for not allowing her to come over when she wanted to come, and that her daughter was being manipulative. So hear the projection. It wasn't Tracy that was all that Tracy did was set a boundary. But her mother was the one that was being manipulative and rude and then condescending. She was talking down to Tracy left and right. So Tracy and I did a lot of work on her boundaries and building up her sense of self so that she's able to stand up to her mom. And they actually have a good relationship now, but it's with really solid boundaries because her mother does push on those boundaries big time, and she can be very condescending. So Tracy limits her time, but they actually have a better relationship now because Tracy doesn't let her mother's stuff land on her, and she's got really healthy boundaries, and her self-esteem has gone up quite a bit. So we really want to make sure that we are not owning something that is not ours. We need to recognize if it's a projection from someone else on us. That happens quite a bit with a narcissist, just saying. Something else that happens too, this happens with overt and covert, is this stonewalling. And that is when someone just gets so upset with us, they just won't talk to us and they just put that wall up. Even you guys, an eye roll. John Gottman says an eye roll is contempt. If your person eye rolls you when you are sitting and you are talking with them and sharing something like setting a boundary or saying, hey, you really hurt me when, if you get an eye roll back, contempt. Way unhealthy. Way unhealthy. Okay, so I feel like I've given you some pretty darn good examples. The key is this. Here's the takeaway. Because I hate labels. I really don't like labels. I don't even like to use the word label, covert narcissism or any kind of label. But I do feel like it provides information, but let's not get stuck on these labels because they don't serve us. Here's the bottom line. If you're in a relationship with anybody and it doesn't feel good to you, there's something going on. So pay attention to your inner feelings and emotions. Don't numb them out. You guys know me. Don't numb out your feelings and emotions. If you get a stomach ache every time your so-and-so walks in the room, there's something going on that needs to be examined. Don't sweep it under the carpet. Don't have a bottle of wine. Look at it. Why do I feel uncomfortable when so-and-so walks in the room? Why do I feel a knot in my throat or a lump in my throat when my husband comes home every night? What is that? What's going on? Don't override it with, which is what we do. I've got such a great life. I don't know why that's happening. I don't even want to look at it. Everyone thinks I have the perfect life. I don't care. You've got to take care of yourself. Nobody else is going to do it. You have to look inside and see what's going on. So here's the thing. People ask me this all the time. Can you change a narcissist? And I want to say this. People that feel like they might be narcissist or have narcissistic tendencies, which, by the way, everybody has a little bit of that. Some of it's good, by the way. I think it pushes us. But if it's affecting other people in a negative way, it's becoming a problem. But people ask me, can they change? I wish I could do a drum roll. Here's the thing. The way that we change as human beings is, first of all, we have to have the awareness that there's something to change or that there's a problem. So without awareness, I ain't going to change. If I don't know that I'm hurting my beloved, then how am I going to change? And I would not go to your beloved and say, I think you're a covert narcissist, because that will send them, if they are, into more shaming and blaming. I would, however, go to some marriage coaching or marriage counseling and have a third party involved, or go to your pastor, whomever, have a third party involved and maybe share with them on the side and say, hey, I suspect this. Can you help me identify if this is true? Ask a friend. Go to your very best friend named Google. Google it. Pull up covert narcissism. See if it resonates with you guys. Okay? But you got to get information first that, gosh, I feel like I might have these traits. Great. There's your awareness. If you're having the awareness that that might be you, guess what? I highly doubt then that you have narcissistic personality disorder. If you legit feel that on the inside, then you're not so bad. So please be easy on yourself, because we can change. I believe any of us can change, but you've got to have the awareness. So whether it be yourself or someone else that you're thinking of, you've got to have the awareness. This is a problem, or this is something I really feel like I'd like to change. I'm going to take responsibility for hurting these people in my life, and I'm going to go ahead and make some changes now. I'm going to get their feedback. I need to ask them how I've hurt them so I can now make new choices, because I don't even know that I'm hurting people. That means awareness. That's all that is. Okay? So, but if we're in a relationship with a covert narcissist, okay, first of all, pay attention to yourself. Again, have that awareness with yourself. Stop blaming yourself. Stop thinking you're crazy, because you're not. But you're in a relationship with a crazy maker. So we want to absolutely start working on yourself. You must get clear for yourself. You must build up self-esteem. It is critical that if you want to change, you have to get yourself strong. Because I know I've talked to so many people and they say, I could never end this marriage. People would think I was nuts. People think my husband is the greatest guy on the planet. If I left, they would think I was crazy. How could I leave such a great husband? You guys, stop it with the story. It doesn't help you. Go back to you, build yourself up, start journaling, go to therapy, find a coach, go to somebody, start getting clear on you, build yourself up. Next thing you want to do, boundaries. Let me talk to you about boundaries for a second. And I've done so many shows on boundaries. Do a search for those shows too. Boundaries is setting limits. It's like, what's okay with you? If someone is shaming you, it's not okay. Period. End of story. End it. Say, stop it. Stop. No is a complete sentence. That's a boundary. No. Stop. Do not talk to me like this. We are done with this conversation. I'm giving you one-liners. You know what I like? Bullet point boundaries. That's what I call these things. Bullet point boundaries. You don't want to get in the weeds and say, when you talk to me like that, it really makes me feel like I'm a child and I lose myself and I don't even know who I am anymore. And then you go into your shaming and blah, 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 blah. It's like, what in the world are you trying to say? That what you're trying to say is stop it. You're hurting me. Get really clear and you say it from your body, not just from your head. Go chin down, feel it in your body, how much you want that person to stop, and you say it, stop it. Now, what happens? I have this question a lot. What happens if you're in a relationship with somebody? And again, you're at, family outings, or you're with a whole bunch of people, whether it be friends or family members. And there's that one person that probably or might be a covert narcissist, and they've got it out for you. What do you do? Because no one else really sees it. They don't know what you're talking about. You go and you avoid that person. If they say something to you, you set a boundary. You can't, I wish I could tell you how we can transform someone else. One way that we can do that is, number one, we change and we set boundaries. But I can't promise you that they're going to do a 180-degree shift in who they are. I can promise you that something's going to change. And if they don't change, if they truly are a narcissist, they may not be changing people. They just might not, because they're so wounded. At the root of narcissism is shame. And they built these masks over that shame. And no, they don't want anyone to crack that mask. They won't allow it. So what we want to do, by the way, is take care of ourselves. So there's external boundaries and internal boundaries. You've heard me talk about this before. An internal boundary is taking care of you. If you're in a party or in a family outing and someone is really being rude to you, get on the other side of the room. Don't engage with that person. And if they keep engaging with you, then you freaking leave. Just leave. Don't go to the party. I wish I could tell you how to stop someone else from being mean to you. And one of the ways we do that is boundaries. And if those people don't respect your boundaries, then get on the other side of the room or just leave. Just leave. That really sends a message. Why did Sally leave? I don't know why she left. And then you're able to say, Mike was being abusive toward me or aggressive. That's just not okay. I asked him to stop and he didn't stop. So I left. There's no drama. You don't have to gossip about it. You don't have to judge Mike. You just say, it just wasn't okay with me. If someone comes up to you at the grocery store and slaps you in the face, it's just not okay with you. You just don't allow it. Why the heck do we allow people to verbally get aggressive with us? It's not okay. We just say no, stop it, or we just leave. Walk away. That's an internal boundary. This is not okay with me. Boundaries simply teach other people how we want to be treated. Period. End of story. And we really need solid boundaries with covert narcissists. The last thing is this. You have to become the best cheerleader for yourself. You have to stop doubting yourself and say, you know what? I know who I am and I know what I feel, and this feels bad. I can't say anything else about it, but something about what this person is saying to me feels really bad. I don't care if anyone else on the entire planet agrees with you or not. If it feels bad to you, that's a message. Dig into that. Honor it. Why does it feel bad? Journal about it. Go talk to somebody about it. But something's off. Something is off. And you got to get clear about it. For yourself. Our life is our responsibility. Period. No one else's. Our responsibility. And if it's something feels bad because someone's not being nice to you, it's your job to get help to fix it yourself. And that might mean you got to leave. You got to set a boundary. So, okay, there we go. Covert narcissism. It's very sneaky. It's subtle. It's backward. It's backhanded. People will say compliments. Here's one last example I forgot to mention. It's like we want this, a covert narcissist or a subtle narcissist wants the attention, but not in the extroverted kind of way. It's sort of like they'll tip the waitress like a gigantic tip, let's say, only if people see what the tip is that they're writing down. They'll tip the barista, let's say, at Starbucks, $100, but only if people are watching. They wouldn't do it if no one else was watching. They want that attention. They want that when people go, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Look what you did. Oh, that barista loved it, or that waitress loved that. You're so great. You're such a great guy. You're such a great girl. Look what you did. Oh my gosh. Covert narcissist. They want that attention, but it's in a very different, sneaky, subtle kind of way. Got it? Okay. All right, everybody. Whew. Love you all so much. Hope you enjoyed today. Let me know how you like this. You know, I'm on social media. Come to Instagram, Michelle.Chalfant, or Facebook. We've got the Adult Chair closed group. Come join us there, or Michelle Chalfant on Facebook. I have a variety of places you can find me. I'm all over the place. Most importantly, do not forget this. The biggest announcement ever, the Adult Chair Coaching Certification. Seriously, come check it out. You've only got like 6 weeks. theadultchair.com/certification. I will put it in the show notes as well if you are driving and you are not able to write this down. So that's that. Okay, everybody. Love you all so much. Thank you for joining me. Again, I appreciate all of the, also the iTunes reviews. I love reading them. So thank you for that. Share the show. Help others to learn what narcissism is, you guys. This is a big show today. So love you so much. Have a great week. I will see you seated right here in Isle of Palms next week in South Carolina, right on the beach, in the Adult Chair.